Is it love or is it limerence? If you are trying to manifest a specific person or you have a crush on somebody and you cannot stop thinking about them, today's episode is for you. Just based on the requests I get for how to manifest a specific person, I know this is a hot topic, so today we're going to get into it. Hey there, my name is Jen. I am a coach and a creator of the Aligned Life, and today I'd love to welcome you back to Aligned TV. So is it love or is it limerence? Personally, I have had a lifetime's worth of those intense crushes where most of the time I didn't even know the person who I had a crush on. And I remember this happening to me all the way back in 8th grade. And I'd say up until pretty recently, actually, although not for the last few years because I've done a lot of work and now I know the difference. Basically, from the time I turned about 13 years old, I always had a crush on somebody. I was always crushing hard. Every single year from junior high until high school, I had a crush on a different person. They were never people I knew. They were always these unattainable types that I spent a whole lot of time thinking about. I totally idealized them. I spent a lot of time just imagining what it would be like to be with them, thinking about how perfect we'd be together, thinking about what our life was going to be like, etc., etc. I'd love to tell you that that all ended when I became an adult, but it didn't. My crushes became a lot less frequent, but they were still happening, I would say, up until even a few years ago. However, I have done enough work on myself now that I understand what was really going on inside of me. And the answer to that is limerence. Today, I really wanted to talk about this because breaking up my own limerence pattern has been one of the healthiest things I have done for myself. And I wanted to start off today's episode by sharing this story about me and my personal crush history because I want you to know that I've been there. I have felt the intense feelings. I have had the obsessive thoughts. I've never been the person to go stalk people or call them or text them all the time or anything like that. Thank goodness. But I understand why someone would do that. I understand how real those feelings are and just how much they can take over your life to the point that you might be Googling, how do I manifest this specific person? So just a quick note before we get into the rest of the video. I'm not telling you you should never manifest a specific person, but I am going to warn you that most of the time when people send me messages, DMs, I'm only hearing a little tiny bit of their story, but 9 times out of 10, it sounds like somebody is actually dealing with limerence. Somebody is either trying to get their ex back, who they have put on a pedestal and decided was the only person who they can ever be with, or they are having a crush on a random person or maybe even a celebrity, and they are spending a lot of time thinking about them, fantasizing about them, etc. The thing is, having a crush can be so much fun. It can be so energizing. It can put extra pep in your step. It can make a little bit of brightness in an otherwise dull week. And I used to think my crushes were healthy. Like I was not sitting around at home crying about these people. I was not using this stuff, I thought, in a derogatory way. But now that I know what limerence is, I have to admit to myself that some of this stuff was quite unhealthy. So let's just start at the beginning here. Is it love or is it limerence? Straight off the bat, if you don't know this person, if you have never been in a relationship or a friendship with this person, you don't love them. What you are feeling attracted to is the image of them that you have created in your mind. Some part of your brain has decided that this person is cute or hot or smart or whatever it is, and you have started to build this narrative around them without even realizing that you're doing it. You're telling yourself,
Oh, I just pick up on their good energy. I just know that they're a great person, etc., etc.
but you don't actually know them, and therefore you can't actually love them. What you are feeling feelings for is the image you have created in your mind. And that does not make you a crazy person. This is actually just your brain doing what brains do. When we don't have information about a specific topic, your brain does not like uncertainty. So it is going to try to rush to fill in a lot of the blanks. And if you're spending a lot of time thinking about somebody who you don't actually know in real life or know on a very casual basis, the more time that you spend thinking about them, the more opportunities you have in your brain to fill in those blanks with anecdotes and stories that are attractive to you. One of the reasons why it is so hard to get over a crush like this is because no mortal can possibly compete because the person that you are having a crush on doesn't actually exist. So I know those feelings feel real inside of you, but it isn't actually love. Love comes from knowing somebody, seeing their humanity and loving them anyway. And I know you think that you're doing that, but if you don't know this person in reality, then you're not. So right now you might be saying, well, I'm thinking about my ex. This is another form of limerence. So in this case, you did know this person. You were in a relationship with them. But for some reason, you are looking backwards and over idealizing them. You are again creating this image of them in your brain that is so much bigger and better than reality. You are making them seem like this perfect human. If you could only figure out a way to get back with them, that you are going to feel better about yourself. When it comes to manifesting an ex, most of the time, this is just your ego trying to preserve itself. When your ego feels a sense of loss in itself, it wants to fix the problem. And it thinks the only way that it can do that is by going and getting back the thing that it lost. So maybe at one point in time, you were in a real relationship with them, and maybe you did actually love this person, but you can create limerence for somebody who you were in a relationship with. It doesn't just have to be about strangers or celebrity crushes or people that you don't know very well. Limerence, on the other hand, is this very intense feeling that you like somebody. You're spending a lot of time thinking about them. You are creating storylines about them. You are wondering what they're doing right now and when you're going to see them next.
And oh my goodness, my life is going to be so much better when I am with this person.
So limerence and a crush are very similar things. The difference being that a crush is not as all-encompassing as limerence. Limerence is when you really feel like you are going to be devastated if this person doesn't choose you or this person doesn't come back to you. Whereas when you have a crush, you think,
Oh, that person's so cute, and oh, wouldn't it be nice if?
you're not constantly playing fantasies about them and convincing yourself that you are not going to be happy if you don't end up with that person. Just in case this is all making you feel a little crazy, let's just remind you that having a crush is a totally normal thing. We all get crushes on people. However, some of us get more intense crushes on people, and that is the limerence state. But there is a good reason for that. I've read a lot of things about how people become limerent or how limerence develops. So let's first talk about it from a complex PTSD perspective. It's really thought that if you came from a family that was not emotionally nurturing, that you might be more likely to develop limerence. The reason being is that when you are a child, you know on some level that you're being emotionally neglected, but as a child, you don't want to admit to yourself that your parents are defective in this way. So what every child will do is automatically blame themselves. And another way that people cope with this is by creating an elaborate narrative in their mind about how much their parent loves them. So needless to say, if you were really good at convincing yourself that your parents loved you, even as they showed you signs that they very much were not interested in your life, then you are probably going to do that with other people in the world. After all, if the only love you felt was the love that you sort of created as a self-soothing mechanism as a child, you are probably going to go back and use that same mechanism as an adult. Another theory that I've seen come up around limerence is that people with autism or even ADHD are more likely to develop this trait. I should just say right here, I am hardly an expert in autism or ADHD, although I definitely have neurodivergent traits myself. A lot of the research I've done on this is because of those traits. But when I was a kid, you never even thought that a girl could be autistic or have ADHD. They just didn't think about girls having that at all. So we all know in autistic people that they tend to have special interests, things that they are really into. You can think of that classic autism trope about boys being really into trains or something like that. So I personally believe that limerence can occur in females with autism or ADHD because our crush is our special interest. You are tending to put all your effort and energy into that thought or that fantasy or even activities that involve that person because that's just what your brain is wired to do. You are interested in certain subjects, and sometimes that subject is a person. So now that we know where it came from, maybe you're asking yourself, well, is limerence really that big of a problem? If I am happy having this crush on somebody, then why not just let me go ahead and have it? So yes, I am with you on that idea to a certain degree. The problem here is that you need to have a lot of self-awareness. You need to really notice if you are using this fantasy, the fantasy that you are creating with this person in your mind, as a way to escape from your problems. So yeah, having a crush, that might involve some fantasy ideas, thinking about them asking you out, thinking about what your relationship would be like. But this stuff can turn into maladaptive daydreaming pretty quickly, especially when it comes to romance. For example, if you have decided that this one person that you know is the one, and you are just sitting around fantasizing about them, thinking about them all the time, and kind of just waiting for them to wake up and realize that you are the one. And in the meantime, you are not making new friends. You are not putting yourself out there. You are not going on dates. Then this fantasy that you have created in your mind might be maladaptive. It might be taking you away from very real opportunities you have in front of you to meet more people and perhaps to find someone you could actually be in a relationship with. I know when this comes up that so many people tell me,
If I'm interested in one person, I can't possibly think about anybody else.
and I get that. However, the problem is here that you are thinking about somebody that you don't know yet. You are putting all of your eggs in one basket, and you are more than happy to sit around and wait for that thing to come to you rather than realizing that you have so much more control over your life and your romantic life than you think you do. There are so many tools you can use to start to undo all of this. One of the things that I've realized so many times in my life when I have a crush on somebody is that usually there is something about that person that I actually want for myself. So I'm going to give you a journaling exercise to start off here, and hopefully that will get the ball rolling in your healing journey so you can start to untangle some of the reasons why you are feeling limerent, and in fact use that crush that you are having right now as a tool to figure out what you need to work on. So I want you to think about your crush, the one that you want to manifest, that specific person, and I want you to start to write down all the things you think you like about that person, or all the things that are attracting you to that person. And now I want you to look at this list that you've created and ask yourself, which of these characteristics or traits or skills do I secretly want for myself? Sometimes we are attracted to somebody because we think they are so funny or outgoing, and we secretly want to learn how to do that for ourselves. We are attracted to somebody because they have a certain friend group, but instead of trying to figure out how to get into that friend group ourselves, we think we have to date this person and that will automatically be included. Basically, I think you can do shadow work with just about anything, and that includes figuring out why you are attracted to somebody who you don't really know that well. And that includes figuring out why you were attracted to somebody in the first place. If you want to bring it all back to manifestation, because I know that's why so many of us are here, if you start to embody the traits of the person who you are attracted to, that should make them more attracted to you too. So if you're not ready to get into undoing the limerence and figuring out why you are doing this, why your brain engages in this pattern of repetition and daydreaming, then think about it from a manifestation perspective. I just really want to challenge you to take your love life and your life in general back into your own control. When you are putting someone on a pedestal and thinking about them all the time and over idealizing them, you are giving that one person way too much power over your life. There are many beautiful potential partners for you in the world. You have many soulmates, and you have no idea who you are going to meet tomorrow. There is no reason for us to freak out and think that this one person is the answer to all of our prayers. In fact, there are many answers to your prayers, and one of the best things that you can do to start finding those answers is to start doing some emotional healing work. So I hope this video has given you something to think about when it comes to love or limerence, and I hope it empowers you to take control back in your love life, because baby girl, baby boy, you deserve true love, and you deserve real tangible love, not just love that exists in your mind. Thank you so much for watching this today. If you enjoyed this, please do me a favor, give me a like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you back here in the next video. Happy manifesting, my friend.